episode 42. In today's episode, we're going to keep it super short because we got stuff to do today. This episode is brought to you by Agua, nourishes the earth. And hey, you know what's interesting about today? September 23rd. Supposedly the planet was supposed to end today. We're still here, man. What the fuck? They said like Nibiru was gonna come down here and hit us, and we're still here, bro. Still here. Still strong.
The thing about dates is they say, oh, September 23rd this is gonna happen, but September in Australia today is already September 24th. So
you don't know how much I was praying this last week. I was like, God, please don't.
So I don't really go by dates. Like you can't tell me September 23rd is gonna happen when it's already September 24th in another freaking country.
I was listening to Aerosmith. I don't want to close my eyes because I miss you. No.
Let's talk about boxing.
Let's jump right into it. So we'll start off with the wish you had, which became true. Apparently, and if you check our Instagram feed, I guess the fight between Glenn Tapia and Gabe Rosado is manifested.
Yeah. Thank you, Dalia, for listening to my...
It's gonna be bombs away. It's gonna be bombs away.
Definitely.
So that's good news. Hopefully, you know, and I think, is it in October or December?
October 19th, so basically next month. We're about a month away, which is like a short notice. I know Glenn Tapia been training. I don't know about Gabe, but it's gonna be a short camp for them, I guess.
You think it's gonna be like
Yeah, I don't really think they're gonna probably go all the way down to 160. Maybe it's gonna be like a catch weight at 162, maybe, or 163 Canelo.
Canelo weight. That's a little subliminal. We'll cover that later.
The rumors, I don't know. It's rumors.
You know, but okay, so that's pretty much it. Any thoughts on the Andre Ward retirement?
Well, Kovalev's gonna be able to get a belt. Maybe Stevenson fighting now. There's gonna be a lot of more guys that are gonna have a chance to have belts. As much talented and gifted Ward was, he didn't really bring much, and I'm gonna get hate for this, but the guy didn't. It's not like he was a pay-per-view star. It's not like he had a lot of supporters. His last two pay-per-view they flunked, and unless he had like a guy that like Kovalev, his fights were boring. Like, so honestly, he did great. He's gonna be a Hall of Famer without a doubt. But me personally, I don't think I'm gonna miss him.
Yeah, no,
but that's my personal.
No, yeah, I kind of agree with it. For the most part, I don't think he was a pay-per-view star, and one of the reasons he wasn't a pay-per-view star is because he refused to fight outside of the United States. And
not just that, it was his style.
And also stylistically, it was which is, you know, I can appreciate it, but for fan friendliness, I mean, you need to engage more, make a fight, and be more. And the thing is, Andre Ward is a lot more reserved. So to become a star, you need to be willing to entertain people. You need to be willing to, you know, be
put your life out there. I think he was really like he took his boxing career aside from his life. He would not make interviews. A lot of guys that would interview him, he was
private. Very private.
Yeah. So I think it was that, you know, a lot of people want to see a story, and he had a story. He had a great story, but he didn't put it out there. Like, he was really private, like you said, with it. So it's really hard.
Just come back.
Hey, you know, he always followed Mayweather and Roy Jones' career. Those were his two idols, mentors. So he could come back for a big fight. Who knows? But he's been talking about retirement even way before the Kovalev fights. So he could. You know,
he's a really good commentator. So
I like him as a commentator. I like him. So we're gonna see him in boxing. He's gonna be there. So even if you don't come back, we're still gonna see more of him as a commentator. I don't mind him.
Okay. So segueing into that, since it's connected, obviously Kovalev and Shambransky is a fight that's been announced about for 2 weeks now. What do you take from that? You think Kovalev is, and before I go any further, do you think, I think Kovalev is going to win, but how do you think he'll look against Shambransky?
Hopefully if he left the vodka, which he said he was going to go, and cigarettes, he should look good. You know, he shouldn't get out. He should get the knockout. I think this is a tune-up fight for him to get back on put his name out there, and like I said, you know, I won't be surprised if they make this like for either eliminator for one of the belts or actually for one of the vacant belts. So I won't be surprised if at last minute they're going to throw in a belt there, probably like the IBF or one of his belts. So he could become a champion in November.
No, yeah. Honestly, I heard the interview with John David Jackson when he was talking bad about Kovalev and everything. And based on what he said, John David Jackson, yeah, he talked bad about him, but the way he said it, he pretty much said, and I agree with it. I think Kovalev defeated himself. Like, he needs to. I think he's a great fighter. I don't know about the weight issues at his weight, but I think that if he is really disciplined and focused on what he does, he can be a great fighter once again. I don't know if it was the money or it was anything like that, but I kind of felt like he defeated himself in the second fight. So I kind of, you gotta, if you're gonna continue boxing, he has to be willing to quit sabotaging his mind and just stay focused in his craft and be willing to learn from trainers and stuff like that. Because you have to be willing to grow as a fighter, you know, to get better. The day you stop, you know, being willing to grow as a fighter, then you might as well not be in the sport.
The thing is that with boxing, you can't come in with one game plan. And for me, one, he let war get in his head, and two, I think he stuck to his word. I'm gonna knock this guy out within 4 rounds, and that's why he came into the fight. It didn't happen in the fourth, and he started breaking down within the fight. So I think it was that. I think he came in trying to come out. I'm gonna knock him out in 4, and that's gonna be it. You know, I heard him in the first fight. I know I could knock him out, and he just came to knock him out. That's why he was gassed after the fourth. He wasn't there. That's my opinion, but we can't. No, it's just an opinion. So
okay. And obviously another fight that's been announced. It's gonna be the Joseph Parker versus Hughie Fury, aka Tyson Fury's nephew, I believe, or no, his cousin. So he's a big boy too. I mean, he doesn't have an outstanding record. He's obviously been defeated. But Joseph Parker, I mean, he looked impressive in his last fight. Do you see that going any way, or?
In this fight, I favored Parker. He is the more skilled fighter of them both. But you know, then again, Fury been caught with PEDs, and it could go either way at the end of the day. Who knows? I'll favor Parker, and it'll probably end up in a decision.
Do you feel that the winner of that fight would probably fight Deontay Wilder and
Ortiz winner?
No, the Luis Ortiz winner. No, actually, no. I stand corrected. What I meant to say was Anthony Joshua and
yeah.
That fight seems more doable, so they can unify the WBO and the.
It could happen, but probably at this point, I don't think none of them wanna, unless they're trying to get a payday. Whoever wins.
They're probably trying to build the fight.
Yeah,
first.
that's what I was gonna go. They probably try to build a fight, or unless they want to get a payday right away. But when you have a belt, you know, you're more into getting. Even if you fight like a no-name guy, you're probably gonna get
a check.
Yeah, a bigger payday as well. So unless they want to rush into the money like Martin did with Joshua, I don't think so. I think they'll probably build that fight and wait for you, unless Joshua fight Wilder or the winner of Wilder Ortiz.
Okay. And next topic we're going to discuss is going to be the fights last night. I'm going to be frank with you. I kind of saw a little bit today, but I didn't get to see the fights last night on ESPN.
Yeah, and it was rough because we got the fight at 11 o'clock, probably started at 11:15.
I was out at like 8 o'clock.
I started watching the Sulo Ramirez versus Jesse Hart, which was a pretty good fight. Sulo Ramirez dropped in, I believe, in the second round. Interesting fight. I mean, it was a pretty good war. And it was funny because a lot of people was criticizing, I wasn't, I actually liked this event, was criticizing this card, and this card came out pretty well. Both card came out awesome.
I know the Valdez and Genesis Savannah. That looked interesting. They each scored a knockdown back to back. I think it was around 6 or 7 or 7 and 8.
Yeah. So Sulo Ramirez got the decision as well. Valdez also got the decision in a fight that people already say, oh, he got exposed. First of all, the Filipino.
Yeah, people are the worst, bro. As soon as they be like one knockdown, he's got exposed. Like
the Filipino guy was awkward and bigger than him.
Yeah,
this guy is way bigger. Like look at his body.
And the rhythm was an awkward rhythm. Yeah, he didn't throw awkward punches, but the way it was like almost like a shuffling rhythm. So maybe he took time for him to get his timing down.
Yeah, I saw Boomdu versus Keith Thurman, where Keith Thurman couldn't get through that little shaky.
Yeah. The rhythm. The rhythm he had. Same thing.
Yeah, it was the same thing, and he got caught walking out off balance. So it was not like when Valdez hurt him and knocked him down, like that, Genesis was hurt. Like you could tell he was hurt. So, and I was actually surprised Valdez couldn't take him out at the end of the round, but he got back his legs and continued to put in a war. I scored it for 8-4 for Valdez. Still one-sided. I don't see the war exposure.
I scored it the same way.
Yeah, I think he's still young. He's still learning. So you don't see little mistakes. Like for instance, every time Cedeno, that's
his name is Genesis Servania.
Servania. So every time Servania Valdez will catch Servania to the body, he will counter Valdez to the head, like real quick. So little things like that. He probably have moved his hand a little bit better, position his hands better. But little tweak that he need. For me, he got a decent team, but I think his trainer is not at the level of an elite trainer, So they are both learning as well. But that's just, he stayed composed even with the knockdown. And
I kind of feel like they're rushing his career in many ways.
Well, the thing about guys like Genesis is like we don't know this guy. Like I never heard of him before this fight, and he guy came to fight. He got a knockdown, and he believed he won the fight. I understand why. He put in a lot of pressure. He made the fight. It was a great performance from both guys, but I think but that still won clearly 8-4 in my opinion.
That's good. So pretty much, I guess we can jump into the fight happening tonight. Jorge Linares versus Luke Campbell. I think it's going to be a good fight, but I honestly see Jorge Linares winning. I feel like he'll take the fight to a decision. I mean, Jorge Linares has had losses. I think 3 losses he had back in 2000. I want to say, I'm not sure, I think it's 2012, but he looks like a very complete fighter to me, and I don't see this Luke Campbell kid. I did some research on him, and frankly, he looks like a boxer counterpuncher. He looks like the type of guy, he has a lot of knockouts for I think he has about like 12, 13 knockouts, but the thing with him is I don't feel like he relies too much on his power, and he has a loss against, I forget the guy's name, Ines something, but pretty much what I saw from his loss is that fighters that give him a lot of volume punching, it's not that he gets flustered, he feels he can't outwork them. It almost feels like he likes to be on his back foot and likes time to think. And one thing about Linares is that he has enough ability to where he can give punches from different angles. I don't know if Linares will try to throw a bunch of punches like the loss he had, but I feel like Linares has way more experience. I mean, the guy's like, what, 30, 40 fights on his belt already? So, I mean, I see this being one-sided. I see this like a fight to where this Luke Campbell kid is just coming in to see if, he could get some sort of upset, but I don't see it happening.
Luke have a pretty decent amateur career. I think it could be an interesting fight, probably the first 2 or 3 rounds, but I think, like you said, Linares is a veteran. He's a guy with more professional fights. And I think Linares is going to take him to school and probably either stop him late or go to the decision, like you said.
Yeah, he's got 17 wins, 1 loss, and what lost the decision is 14 knockouts. And it was against Ivan Mendy, that's what it was.
Yeah, so
that guy had a high work rate and he just didn't have an answer. Like Linares has 42 wins, 27 KOs.
The only thing about Linares is that, he got that questionable chin.
Yeah.
He's not, you can't say he's chinny, because sometimes you get caught, and those guys that beat him were no-name guys, like, nah.
Well, I got Antonio DeMarco. I don't know Sergio Thompson. Antonio DeMarco.
Well, DeMarco was, but Thompson, like,
Juan Carlos Salgado.
You could say that he probably didn't take him serious, but
interesting enough, all the knockouts he's had, all the times he's been beat are been early stoppages. Well, exception with Antonio DeMarco, but the other 2 guys were early stoppages. It could just be, just got caught. I mean, every fight in the beginning of the fight is going to be strong and have speed over you. So, yeah, I have Linares winning that fight. I probably more than likely see it as a decision, being that he likes to take his fighters into deep waters. And then our last topic: what do you think is next? Any revelations as far as what the Triple G and Canelo think? Do you think there'll be a rematch? Do you think?
I don't think Canelo's gonna fight again till May. He's not the type of guy that
Yeah, it's twice a year. He's got a business going on.
Yeah.
2 times. That's all you say. 2 times.
Every time he ever said he was gonna fight in December, he'll end up with an injury or some sort of you moved it up. And I remember the Kirkland fight got moved a couple of times. So I don't see Canelo. Triple G, I don't know. I heard some hesitation from his camp saying maybe that they're not gonna fight this year as well, but they're waiting to fight at the beginning of the year. So.
Do you feel like guys like Eddie Reynoso is like a magician, like he just does things? It's like now you see me, now you know, like, oh, where did the pill go? The pill's out of my hands. See the pill? Pill's no longer there.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation with that camp.
That's just so funny to me. He's having a conversation like.
They've been talking about PEDs on the Canelo camp since day one.
That would really break my heart if that was true.
And we obviously saw it on TV when Reynoso passed him a pill, which for me
it was a sensu bean he gave. That's what it was.
It was a vitamin. Hopefully, also now that we got a speculation that Canelo came in at 163, but they waived it out and they didn't mention anything to the media. So there's a lot of speculation on Canelo on Canelo's side. Like you said earlier, we was talking about this. I think, and I mentioned it even before, because I saw Canelo being big during training. He took a page out of the Jacobs training camp,
smart,
which was building muscle and mass to take Triple G punches. And Canelo took those punches like a mother. I'm giving him respect for that.
I think the weight has something to do with it.
Me personally, I don't think that they are willing to go get a rematch right away. Why? They're not going to put Canelo on a position. Remember, Canelo is the golden goose from Golden Boy. They're not going to have him go through 3 wars back to back to back, or even 2 wars.
Well, the training, he trained really hard for the Chavez fight.
Yeah, but I'm talking about wars, like taking punishment in between
big
fights after fights. Yeah. Like, for instance, I noticed that K2 are doing that with Triple G now. He just fought Jacobs and then fought Canelo on a war.
That was back to back, March to September, 6 months in between.
And I understand because they're rushing him because he's older now. But I don't think it's ever good for a boxer. Like, you look at what happened to Chocolatico. Look at Francisco Vargas. These guys that take punishment back to back to back, and then they end up getting knocked out or getting beaten back, So we don't want to see. They understand that. Golden Boy understand that, and they protect.
It's a business, man.
Canelo, and they're not gonna put him right away. Even the Lemieux fight, I really see. Maybe they were probably impressed with his performance. They said, yeah, if you were able to do this against Triple G, you're able to take Lemieux. Lemieux is not the type of guy who always come in a fight saying sometimes he put a great performance. And then sometimes he just looked terrible, and he still get the decision, or he still win, but he looked completely terrible. So it's a toss-up.
Lemieux's dangerous. Yeah, Cotto would be good, but even Cotto is like, okay, Cotto could fight Canelo, but then think about it this way. At this point, why would Golden Boy give Canelo to Triple G when they want him to fight? Give Cotto to Triple G when they're under the same stable.
Yeah.
So I don't see Triple G fighting Cotto because they're contractually obligated. Cotto's contractually obligated to Golden Boy. He could probably fight someone else in between just to stay active, and I could probably see Cotto fighting someone else, and then Canelo fighting taking the fight in lane. Unless they totally skip and diss Triple G and be like, no, we're just gonna fight Cotto.
Unless they could do this. Cotto's gonna retire then this year, so Cotto could fight Lemieux. I see Lemieux beating Cotto unless they try.
Tragic.
So they could put Lemieux versus Canelo on the card, because Canelo's a star, so pay-per-view event, and put Triple G Saunders on the card, and that'll be a massive pay-per-view. Unless they're trying to do that, but
it's promotional.
Yeah, just to build a fight so they can fight again in September.
That wouldn't be a bad idea because there could be like a co-promotion feature between them, and then they could build up the fight for May.
Yep. So
which would be a good idea.
Let's see what actually happens. So
they are talking with each other. They are working with each other. So it seems like this shouldn't be a hard rematch to make since they made the first fight, and they honestly both sides, even K2. They said that the promotional process, the actual process of working with the other guys, the arena was seamless. than like the judges, but everything else, Tom Loeffler said, you know, he had a good experience with it. So I mean, it's not to where they wouldn't work with each other. It's just a matter of the outcome of the fight. So I mean, because I remember who's the pro, like you see the things happen with Rock Nation and Kathy Duba with their promotion. Like they didn't bump heads. I think promoters, if they work with each other, they want to, you know, they want to make sure everything looks good.
They have worked before. Remember Lemieux, Triple G, and they always had worked before together.
This meant a lot though.
Yeah, Loeffler is the kind of guy that he never say no for an answer, or the type of guy that he's willing to work. Like he's willing to give.
He's willing to compromise
advantage
to make it.
Yeah, he give advantage to make whatever works. And at the end of the day, a lot of people forget. K2 is a company and they want to make the bigger money, so they are going to search for the bigger money. So I already hearing that they are trying to get the rematch, so they'll probably wait for it unless that happened. Golden Boy doesn't want the rematch right away, and they'll probably build something in between to then do the rematch in September. So let's see how it unfolds, and you know we'll go from there.
Well, anything else you have?
I think that's all for this week.
Well, that's it, guys. Tune in to next week or whenever the world may not end. We don't know. To another episode of Boxing.
We forgot to mention Mickey Conlan got the knockout last night.
4th or 5th KO against Kenny Guzman.
Yeah, it was earlier. I remember it. Awesome knockout.
Good job. So until next time, thank you for tuning into Boxing Rampage. I hope to see you again, and we are out.
Thank you for the support.